Hey everybody, welcome to the Black Diamond Call from Monday, November 6th. John Lavenia here with you as I am every Monday night, and glad to be here with all of you. I do see people joining us from multiple continents here. You know, I started my day with a call today where I got to coach some people from around the world. I've been on with only 4 continents today. On with students here in Digital Altitude. Some days, a lot of days it's 5, but today was a 4-continent day. But whatever continent you're on, I want to welcome you in person, and especially for our brand new members. Welcome to the Black Diamond Call. This call is something we do each week where we share experiences, ideas, and perspectives based on actual experience, what got us to the top. Some people certainly know who I am around here. I run the training call series. I also I'm one of the senior coaches, and been working here in the top-tier direct sales space successfully anyway since 2002. Been around it longer than that, but yeah, had my breakthrough over 15 years ago, and I'm here to hasten your results and help you get to the top as well. So sometimes I have a guest speaker. Tonight it is myself, so let me introduce the guest speaker. Hey everybody, I'm going to bring out a really awesome guy. This guy's name is John, and he's going to share with you some great insights. Hey, thank you. Glad to be here. But in all seriousness, this call is where we discuss ideas that got us to the top. So the rules for the call are, please see how these ideas apply into your life and into your business. This is for use, okay? This is not just for entertainment value. And take what you like and leave the rest, okay? And if something works for you, use it. And if not, go find something that does. But I'm going to share with you stuff that has produced a lot of fruit. It does bear fruit actually in the marketplace. So that's what we're going to be talking about here on these calls. And I do get a little bit loose and let my hair down sometimes. So if I say anything that offends you, you'll get over it. That's just how we roll around here. So tonight, our topic is doing what works in the marketplace for you. And here's where I'm going with this. Last week, we had some people come out on the calls who were sharing their experiences, including and especially on Friday morning. What a great Inside Digital Altitude call that was, Friday morning. Of course, myself and Glenn Henderson facilitate that call each Friday morning, and you guys get to host, okay? And if you haven't heard the Inside Digital Altitude call yet because you're brand new here, go ahead and check that out on the podcast, and of course tune in each week because this is where our community hosts the call each week and shares their experiences. And of course we'd love to hear about all the wins and all the successes people are having. And some of these wins are pretty dramatic. You know, we heard from a few people this week who were talking about having gone from really nothing, no experience at all in the direct sales world, to having made significant money. In the case of Sarah, I believe she had just had her first $70,000 month, which is really cool. And so she is now in that range of top earners, right? People who are making $50,000 to $100,000 a month in top tier direct sales. And so just to use her as an example, right, and other examples as well. I think this week we also heard from Jen, who just had her first $20,000 month. And she's just a month in the business, so she just came right out of the gate swinging, and other people making their first sales and all this kind of stuff. And the interesting thing, and the thing that I want to talk with everyone about here tonight, and this may be a brief call. I know whenever I say that, it's like an hour plus, but but the idea here is that a lot of times people hear stuff like that. Let's say you're brand new in the business and you're inspired by that, and you should be inspired. That's inspirational stuff. That's great. People are getting results. Yay. Okay, good stuff. And sometimes that conjures up a question in response to hearing these sort of results. And the question, as you might guess, is, well, how are they doing their marketing? That's a very common question. How are they doing their marketing? And, you know, because I get to talk with lots of people, typically as they're going through the steps, right, where we haven't even touched marketing yet. Marketing is a vast topic, which I'm still learning, right? I mean, that's something you're never done really learning that. In fact, watch out for people who say they know it all, right? Because that's a dangerous spot to be, especially with the constant changing landscape of the online world and social media and all these other kind of things. I would not claim to know everything. Okay, now there are some things where I know more than most people on the planet, and those are the things that I coach on here inside Digital Altitude, and through my own companies and stuff, my books that I'm writing. In fact, I just had a student who held up a copy of my book. I was talking to her on Skype. She's like, "Look what I ordered on Amazon." Okay, great, thank you. And so she's going to get a head full of John Lavenia philosophy right now. But the things that make us money are obviously a business model that's very robust, that can pay us, and we all have that, right? It pays us all very nicely. What else makes us money? The conversion of leads into sales, right? The initiation of the whole lead generation process, right? That's known as marketing, right? And that could be advertising, that could be paid methods, free methods. There's lots of stuff that goes into that. List building, right? And list cultivation. So that is where we have people who are coming to our lead capture page and they're opting in with their email address and saying, yeah, show me the video, show me the, what's behind door number one. And, and these are a variety of methods to do that. Typically, we're dealing with email autoresponders, things like Aweber and GetResponse. And again, if you're brand new here and you don't even know what an autoresponder is yet, you're going to learn. That's fine. It may sound real techy, but it's actually designed for anyone can use that stuff. You don't have to be like a computer programmer or anything. But there's a lot of things that I've already mentioned, which right there, just with that short list that I just mentioned, there are many ways to execute the items in that list. Like list building, for example. How are you attracting your leads to build your list? And then what are you doing with that list once you have it? Right? Are you following up via email? Do you send links to videos or blog articles that you may be doing? Are you filling your pipeline like with an ever-growing abundance of leads, or are you in lead poverty and you don't quite know what to do once you got a lead? Right? Now, obviously, we all start somewhere, and I don't think anybody gets started here with born, right out of the womb with, internet marketing prowess, right? So there's stuff to learn. And we talked a bit about this last week on the Black Diamond Call, which I thought was a pretty revealing episode. I'm always interested to hear what comes out of my mouth, and last week was pretty action-packed. But the idea here is that there's a variety of ways that we can execute on our intention to grow our list, our customer base, our business, right? This is not something that is a cookie-cutter thing for everyone. So when someone asks me, well, how do these people do their marketing? There's a never-ending variety of answers that will come up. Never-ending variety. Case in point, one of our top earners is Jesse Singh. And Jesse is a search engine optimization expert. He likes to write articles every day. That's his thing. He's an article marketer, and he gets leads for free because people go on Google and Bing and Yahoo and they search for such and such keywords, and Jesse shows up, right? This guy just keeps showing up on the search results. That's what he has dedicated his past few years to learning, how to do that. And he's to the point now where he's made a pile of money just right here in Digital Altitude doing that method. Okay, other people like Darren and Rhonda, right? And many of you got to meet Darren and Rhonda at our Marketing Mastery event in Las Vegas just a couple weeks ago. And, they do what's called CPA networks, right? That's cost per action marketing right there, where essentially if you don't understand how that works, I don't want to confuse you, because it can be a somewhat confusing thing, but they're working with networks of people who will actually acquire leads in real time, and they pay for people who enroll as a trial members and such, like, things like that. So that would be a cost per action network. Okay, we also have people like Sarah, who I mentioned before, who posts pictures on her Instagram about where she is in the world, and you never know where she's going to be in the world because she's constantly moving around. And this week she was in Maldives, learning how to scuba dive, and now they're heading to Nepal or something, and they're going to look at mountains or climb the mountains or jump off mountains. I'm not sure, but that's her thing, right? She's into the traveling thing. That's her That's her bit, right? And then I also mentioned Jen, who's a new member. And if you were tuning into the wake-up call back on October 25th, I on a moment's notice, brought her out on the wake-up call because Pierre was out that morning, and she revealed a bit about her method, right? So she's posting, or was anyway, I don't know if she's still doing this, but at the time when she was a whole, week and a half in the business, she was posting kitten videos on Facebook. And alongside the kittens were like here's some results that she's getting, right? Check this out. If you want to know more, click below. And then she was capturing leads that way and getting into communication with people. Now, these are all completely different methods, right? So I don't know that Jesse Singh is posting kitten videos on Facebook. And I don't think Darren is doing scuba diving right now in some island nation in the Indian Ocean. Okay, so you see the variety there? So when the question comes up, what's the best way to do marketing? The answer has to be the way that you have a natural tendency and affinity and liking for doing that. Okay, like that does not seem arduous or like you're going to have a really long learning curve. It's something that is not, certainly you're diligent. Okay, certainly you're, you enjoy the method and you dig into it. You really engage it. You're not just like brushing on the surface of it. You're really digging into it. But at the same time, it's not something that you've got to force yourself to do so much. And admittedly, for me, I'm not a big Facebooker. I know that a billion people like Facebook. I'm not one of them, and not to invalidate Facebook, but yeah, I'd see somebody in the chat room saying, no, Darren is plowing snow. Right. So they're in the white wintry north over there. But the idea here is that you do what you like, okay, and then you dig in on it, and you do it more professionally, right? So there are people who will go on Facebook because they like Facebook. Right? They like to be social. We're going to do social media. We're going to do Facebook Live videos, and we're going to chat with people, or in like the case of Jan, we're going to post kitten videos. There are ways to do that are efficient, and there are ways to do that where you spend your whole day on Facebook, married to the computer. And I've seen this before. And if this is your thing, that's fine, okay? But I'm just telling you, there are more efficient ways to do it, and you can find all this stuff in your training. There are people who will spend pretty much all day on Facebook, and they've got like 20 chats open at the same time, and they're doing it that method. Have any of you seen that method where you've got like live chat going and 20 screens, and you're communicating with all these people in like half conversations? There are people who have an interest and an aptitude for doing that sort of thing. I'm not one of them. Glenn has done it. I see that, Glenn, in the chat room. So if that's your method, fine. Just let it be your method. So I quoted Ralph Emerson just a little while back where he said, envy is ignorance, imitation is suicide. So here's the thing, and this is especially for people who have not yet made their mark here inside Digital Altitude or in the direct selling world. Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. That's the first piece of advice that I could give to you. Is that, a lot of times we're on the web, and there are people who are professional marketers. And we'll see them, and they make it look easy, right? And we'll think, oh, man, I don't know. I envy that person. I don't know that I could be as great as them. Well, keep in mind, none of us came out of the womb knowing how to do this stuff. Okay, so there's that, okay? But secondly, you may not want to be them. They may delight in some method that you have no interest in. Okay, so that's the second part of it. Imitation is suicide. If you force yourself to be like somebody else, whether we're talking about how you convert sales, how you generate leads, how you grow your list, how you cultivate that list, right? What sort of advertising methods you use, free methods, paid methods, and all that. If you try and force yourself into a mold because you see somebody else is having success with a method, that's folly. That's definitely not a way to longevity because you're going to burn yourself out and you're going to be like, this sucks. And it does suck. For you, it sucks. Okay? For the other person, it might be heaven. Well, that's great. Well, good for them. Okay? How about you? How about you? So it's not about comparing, what you see other people doing on the outside with how you feel about something on the inside. This also goes, by the way, for, let's say you're browsing the web and you see, and I pick on these guys a lot, you'll see people with like marketing campaigns in a variety of different, businesses where they've got like a Ferrari, which they rented. They don't own the Ferrari, but they've got the rented Ferrari, and life is grand, and coconut drinks and swimming pools and bikini chicks and whatever. And so that's the outward appearance, okay? They may be struggling, It's they had to borrow money from mom to get the, they didn't tell her they were going to go rent a Ferrari, but this is the this is the thing. Not everything is as it appears on the web, and I hope you guys know that, right? Google is not gospel. There are two different words, right? So don't believe everything you see on the web. But when you get into something where you have the ability to start building influence on the web, understand that you're also going to appeal to a certain crowd. Now, the Ferrari crowd may or may not, be attracted to your kind of stuff, okay? In fact, I'll tell you an interesting story about that. And this kind of goes along the lines of, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. We've got people who are attracted to different kinds of messages, right? Different personalities, different methods, of course. And when I first got started, I had this vision of quitting my job and buying a new car. I always wanted a Lexus, right? And so I after 3 months, I quit my job and I bought the Lexus, and then I had a website that was created where I showed people like before and after shots. Like, here was me before. I was a mechanic, right? In fact, the website was about going from mechanic to millionaire, and it showed pictures of me when I was working in the mechanical fields, and greasy and dirty and miserable, and it had its good sides too. But those weren't the pictures that I was posting. I was posting the worst pictures I could of me while I was a mechanic. And then here are the after shots, right? And I've got the Lexus, and I'm standing in front of my house with my wife and my dogs, and this is before my daughter was born. And, it was a little house and a nice car, right, Lexus. This is going back to the early 2000s. So the car was, I don't know, maybe 30, 35 grand, 32 if I recall. Anyway, so here we are, and we're showing like these before and after shots, and look, we're going on vacation, and here's some, very nice, pictures of lifestyle. Nothing too extravagant, okay, but very nice. And so there it is, and we got lots of leads, and we made lots of sales. When I say we, I'm talking about me and my wife, who's also my business partner, right? So we were doing that for a while, and then we started making even more money, and we wound up changing out some of these pictures, right? Because we don't have the Lexus anymore. Now she's got the Bentley, I got the Maserati, we also got a Range Rover. We got a much bigger house now. It's like $2 million, and it's like a mansion, and so we started swapping out some pictures. Listen to this. We got less leads. Less leads. Why would that be, right? I mean, if a Lexus is nice, a Bentley's got to be better, right? Well, first of all, a lot of people don't know what a Bentley is. But secondly, because it was so much greater in worth and, in display, right? Now we actually had some some people taking professional photographs of us and stuff like that. We became less relatable. Think about this, okay? So again, the whole idea of comparing what you do to what other people do, dangerous stuff, because, people were looking at us, and on one hand, people who were in the business with us, who had not yet, bought Bentleys and stuff and mansions, they were like, oh, well, of course, John and Shannon, they can make a lot of money because, look at their results. They're showing people, $500,000 worth of cars and $2 million worth of houses and, all this stuff. And so that was an assumption that people made. But the other thing is, when we look at how people are perceiving that online, they a lot of times can't relate to that. Now, the number one question on people's minds, whether they know it or not, when they're looking at you, okay, or any opportunity online, or something that they may choose to participate in to relieve themselves of a job and a lifestyle of being broke all the time and, reading the prices on the menu and all that kind of stuff. The number one question on their minds is, who can I trust? That is the number one question, consciously or subconsciously. That is the number one question on people's minds. Who can I trust? And they saw the Ferrari guy before, right? But, that was like some less than authentic thing, and, they didn't make money. Maybe they feel like they got scammed or something. By the way, I don't buy into the whole idea of this is a scam or that's a scam. I think anything can work, right? If you work it. I think a lot of times people who, with a knee-jerk reaction, talk about something being a scam are victim personalities, right? We didn't do the work. We're not responsible. You're responsible. You're supposed to do it for me. I didn't get all the help I needed. I'm a victim. I'm not responsible. I'm not cause. I'm effect. You're cause, right? And you didn't cause me to be successful. Therefore, this is a scam. So I don't have a whole lot of tolerance for that. Now, yes, there are authentic scams out there as well. I don't know that I've joined any of them, but, use a little bit of due diligence, right? I mean, if somebody's saying, instant, profits from the galaxy, all you got to do is sit there and, click the easy button. Well, come on, right? Yes, there are lots of low intelligence people that will go for that. I haven't, perhaps just my IQ, but anyway, yes, there are real scams out there. I just haven't participated. But the idea here is back to the whole point of who can I trust. We were more relatable when we had a little house and, a nice Lexus and, we're hanging out with our dogs. We got to take a vacation finally. And then when we got into, mega earnings, people couldn't relate to that as much. We got less leads, okay? Not as relatable, not as believable for people. It was equally true, right? I mean, I wrote the book on personal integrity. I'm not here to misrepresent, or I often tell people, look, if the truth isn't good enough, go sell something else, right? If that's if what you got isn't isn't good enough, what are you going to do? Lie and fake it till you make it or something? Who needs to do that, right? Fakers. That's who needs to do that. So remember, envy is ignorance, imitation is suicide. So now, hopefully I just gave you some inspiration and some relief that you don't feel like you need to be something that you're not. Okay? So same with these methods that we were talking about. Like, you like Facebook? Okay, great. You don't like Facebook? Okay, great. There's lots of other ways to do stuff. You like paid advertising? Awesome. Great. Oh, you don't like paid advertising? You like to chat on Facebook and you want to maybe do a YouTube channel? How about Instagram, right? That's what Sarah is doing, right? Hey, look, I'm doing the swimming thing over in Maldives or whatever. And it's, and I don't think she's got a photographer following her around, right, taking glamour shots or anything. Her hair's probably a wreck. She's, she's doing the thing with the, scuba tanks or whatever. And now to follow up, right, so let's say people are interested in having that sort of a traveler lifestyle, okay? Now they're on the list. I'm sure she's following up with things that are congruent with how they initially signed up into the list, okay? Now, for the person who wants the work from anywhere lifestyle, that's beautiful. That's a great theme, right? Other people are, like let's say a corporate CEO kind of a person, somebody who, wants the bottom line, wants to see the numbers, and wants to be a bit competitive with all that. Not so much about lifestyle, more about, freedom from corporate politics and, financial domination, because as much money as they make, whether they're making 250 grand a year or whatever at their job, they're spending it all too to keep up with the Joneses, right? So, so here's a person who would be attracted to perhaps a different kind of a message. Okay, how about you know, I mentioned Jen before. How about the kitten videos? Well, these are people who are going to be attracted to that sort of a, you know, flippant, fun, again, lifestyle sort of a thing. And but then she's contacting them personally, or she's having them contact her personally, right? She's not just blasting her affiliate link out all over, you know, Facebook and you know, getting her links blocked and shut down, because keep this in mind, people, that, you know, the Facebook police, these are people making pennies, right? They're broke. And here you come showing up talking about making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from home playing with your friggin' kittens or something? No, that can't be real. That can't be real. No, this person must be, you know, being a scam or something that's less than authentic, right? So people, you know what, you're not up on, you're down on. There's a lot of people who are not up on our industry and the real potentialities of it. So in this case, it's good to be a bit vague, right? Are you here to satisfy everyone's curiosity on first contact? I hope not. Look, the first rule of direct response marketing is to create interest, but do not satisfy interest. First rule, okay? Create interest, but do not satisfy interest. Same thing when we get into the, you know, like lead capture pages and stuff. You've got a vague, what's called blind advertising. It's like, oh, what is this? Well, I don't know, but I want that benefit. Well, look at that headline. That headline says, I could see like what Michael Force put on the original sales funnel that launched Digital Altitude, which is still active, by the way, and it still works. And that is 6 steps to 6 figures. Oh, that sounds simple enough. 6 figures. I've been thinking about making 6 figures for a while, and only 6 steps. Yeah, okay. Because, you know, I did that other thing, and I'll tell you what, starting that franchise, that was a whole lot more than 6 steps. Pretty tremendous, right? So in this case, we've got the ability to craft a message and use a method that is perhaps not, you know, not what other people would do, and that's exactly fine. That's what we want to do. We want to be ourselves with that. And then if you're thinking that who you are, here's where I want to go with this. If you're thinking that who you are right now is somehow not enough, then perish the thought. Okay, you've got to basically sell you to you, and sell your offer to you before you dig into, you know, the marketplace. Now, certainly make some deliberate decisions about how you want to occur in the marketplace. But the whole idea of you not being enough already, that is something that holds people back and stops them from reaching. I know Joel, who's going to be on the wake-up call with us tomorrow morning, Joel has talked about this from time to time. This is something where, you know, you've got to just put yourself out there and understand that. I just see Jen McAvoy in the chat just says, if you're being yourself, you have no competition. There's only one you. Yes, Jen, and yes, everyone. Keep this in mind. There are people who would buy from Jen. There's a different Jen, by the way, not the kitten lady. Okay, but there are people who would buy from you who wouldn't necessarily buy from me, right? They're not. I'm not their cup of tea for whatever reason. I can't imagine, but but that's okay. That's why we've got thousands of affiliates, right? And that's why everyone has a different take on this, a different approach, right? So bottom line is, when you do this, when you get out there in the marketplace, and if you're brand new here, you're just going through the steps, stay close with your coaches. You're going to pick up a lot of insights as you go through the steps and as you prepare to launch your business. But as you do this, assuming you're in the marketing aspect of it now, this is something you're going to be learning for the rest of your life, right? There is no instant success, easy button. That doesn't mean you can't go make 20 grand in your first month. You can, right? I just mentioned somebody who did, right? However, you're going to do it by means that are favorable to you, and that will continue to evolve over time, as will your brand, as it emerges from your marketing. right? Just understand that where you are right now, even if you're brand new in the business, you are more enlightened than the vast majority of people online. Let's take Facebook, for example. So you got a billion or however many people on Facebook, and these people, they don't know the ways of digital business or online success or, making money from home and all this sort of thing. They have no clue. You are way more enlightened than they are already. And every time you tune into one of these calls, or every time you get into the, some lesson in the RISE program, or attend one of our Wednesday night trainings, or go to an event, or read a book, or anything that enriches you, that lifts yourself up and edifies you as a person, okay, you now have more information that you can share with others and to put value out into the marketplace. And what rings your bell may not ring mine. You may read something out of a book and think it's just like the greatest thing ever, and then you go give your own spin on it and go talk to people and, maybe a video channel on YouTube or something, and people are like, wow, that was amazing. I think I'll pick up that book, or maybe I'll contact this person because I like that conversation that I'm in now. And I may not have even read that book, although I've read many. But you see, you're now inflowing, you're taking stuff in, right? You're assimilating, making it your own, putting it into action, see how it works out for you, and then sharing your results, sharing your perspectives with people. And guys, this is all I've done. Now, I've focused largely, just me personally, I've focused largely on success psychology and philosophy, stuff I've been studying for like 30 years. That's my thing. Other people are more into like nuts and bolts kind of stuff, like techniques and strategies of, Twitter or something. Okay, fine. That's your thing. And there's an audience for all of it. Okay? But behind all of that must be a person who is exhibiting some relaxed confidence and some posture, some knowingness, some certainty, right? And then regardless of what the topic is, I mean, think about this. Any of you watch YouTube videos, like instructional YouTube videos? I had to figure out something the other day, so I jumped on YouTube and I did a search for like how to, clean printer cartridge heads on a certain Canon portable IP90V printer, right? And believe it or not, there was a video on Canon IP90 printer head cleaning technology. And the video wasn't that good, but it did give me an idea, okay? And I could have done the video a lot better than the guy who did it. And sometimes you're going to get awesome videos on there. But right now, that guy just got traffic for a video he just put out however long ago, years ago. It's an older printer. It's one of those little travel printers. It's just a bit thicker than a laptop, and it kind of folds up and you shove the paper in there. It's got these tiny little inkjet cartridges. Anyway, we got one of those because I'm traveling right now. And and so this is like a how-to video, right? Where this guy just gave me value. His video abilities were poor. But still, can you not put stuff like that out there? I'll go back to Jesse, who I mentioned before. Jesse does article marketing. And so he creates an article. And now, how long does that article live? Well, it lives forever, unless he takes it down, right? And somebody a year from now could be searching for the keywords that article is, purporting. And here they are. Now they're a lead. A year later. Didn't cost them anything, right? It's just organic search. He did the keyword research. He did the article publishing, and there it is on one of his websites, right? Same thing with YouTube, same thing. Now, we get into other forms of social media, like, Facebook or Instagram and things like that. It's a more short-lived, lifespan. But when you get into, you see, that's a different method, right? So the lifespan of like a Facebook post would tend to be less than that of a YouTube video. Okay, and again, you can get training on all this stuff. There is so much inside our Digital Altitude members site. Under the resources section, you'll find the recorded trainings. And then also, we've got Social Media Marketing University. For those of you who are into social media, that is college accredited. That's an actual university. You can get college credits if you want them. I don't know if that's important to you, but there it is. right there, Social Media Marketing University, right? You'll be like a doctorate in social media marketing. Great stuff. So hopefully I've made my point, right? There are as many methods as there are people to follow them. Therefore, find your niche. Start with what's easy and what you like to do, right? You like shooting videos? Great, go start a YouTube channel. You like, chatting with people? There's Snapchat and Twitter and stuff. You can do these things, and you can find your audience, and that the audience responds to you in a way that they would never respond to another person. So don't imitate, okay? Don't envy, and don't look for one cookie cutter method that's going to, that you need to fit into that mold. Perish the thought. Perish the thought. You guys know how I got started marketing in top tier direct sales? This is back in '02. Well, I started marketing the way that I was introduced. Somebody put a flyer on my car. And so what was I going to do? I was going to go put flyers on cars. It worked for me, right? So here I was living in Tucson, Arizona in July, and 110, 115 degrees. And I'm out there putting thousands of flyers on cars every day, getting kicked out of parking lots, shopping malls, and getting chased by security guards. And you know what? Doing that for 3 months, and also like 3-line ads in printed newspapers, like classified ads. Doing that for 3 months, I hit my goal, which was $20,000 a month. That was my goal when I got started. Doing those primitive methods, it sucked, but it still worked. Okay, now if I was getting started today, would I start with those methods? No. Could it still work? Yeah, I suppose. Sure. Right? Any method of impinging on the public and putting their attention on that which you offer, that's valid marketing, right? We discussed that last week. Do you want to do those methods? Maybe. Nobody's going to stop you except the security guard at the shopping mall. But the idea here is that it all can work, right? It all can work. What do you want to do? Go be you. And just know that you're sufficient as you are. You just got to put yourself out there. So now you got your list growing, you got leads coming in. Follow up. Let them know what you learned this day, this week, whatever. Let them know you're doing your own webinar this week. You're going to show them, what's behind curtain number 1. You're going to give them, your version of a presentation. Let people know, what's great about this. Why did you get started? Think about this. The most powerful sale that you can make is to yourself. In fact, I tell people, I sell me before I'll sell anybody else. If I'm not sold, I'm not selling anybody else, right? I got to be sold, me. And that's the essence of sales right there, is the transfer of enthusiasm. And the last 4 letters of the word enthusiasm, I know I've said it many times, but IASM, right? If we're talking English anyway, enthusiasm, the last 4 letters, IASM, which stands for I am sold myself. And if that's not the reality, then I'm faking it. And I'm just not interested in faking it. Like I said before, if the truth isn't good enough, go sell something else. But this is pretty awesome, what we got here. So the point is, yes, when it comes to our business model, our comp plan, our product plan, we got a nice cookie cutter here. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's all handled for you. Thank goodness. That's all handled for you. The one thing you have to do is become proficient as a marketer. That's the one thing. And whether you're doing, ancient methods or the latest methods of online marketing, it's still marketing. It's still the act of increasing the demand for what we supply. That's it. That's the one thing you got to do. And as you do that, and you build your influence in the marketplace, whatever that marketplace looks like for you, you will find conversions continue to get easier, and your team grows, and you also get leverage, and all these wonderful things. And yes, you want Ferraris, you'll get Ferraris. That's fine. Okay, you can have a Ferrari. You can have a fleet of them if you want. Just be prepared to be the best version of you and to do something that is attractive to your ideal prospect, which may not be my ideal prospect, but would be your ideal prospect. Okay, because they're predisposed and pre-motivated to liking what you've got. Okay, so whatever's so great about this digital altitude thing, whatever's so great about this offer that you chose to buy, okay, Make sure you got that. Make sure you got what those benefits are in your mind, okay? And then you go out there in the spirit of service, and you put out the intention that other people can have these benefits too, right? And that's the spirit with which you market. And then however that shows up, whether you're, diving in Maldives or, just escaping the cubicle lifestyle or whatever it happens to be, your story, remember, facts tell and stories sell. So get that story out there. That's it. Do that. And you're going to find that you've got a whole lot of people who will resonate with that message. But you can't do it as a ghost. You actually got to do it. So I'm seeing some chats here in the chat roll. So here's what we're going to do. We're already 40 minutes in. I am going to open up the line for questions and comments. Hopefully you guys got some benefit out of what we're doing here tonight. So hold on a second. All right, so we do have Q&A session has started here. So if you'd like to come out, you can go ahead and raise your hand by clicking the raise your hand button on your free conference call app. Or if you're on a phone or dialed in with Skype, you can click *6, which is the command to raise your hand and ultimately unmute your line. And we're going to go to our first caller, which is Cotina. Cotina, you're live on the air.
Hey, John. How are you?
I am so good, Cotina. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. So
All
I
right.
have a couple of people on my team, and I guess my question is, I know it's okay to call them, but like, how do you generate the conversation with them? You just say, hey, congratulations, and just make sure they got in contact with their coach.
Oh, yeah, Cotina. In fact, there is, if you go into the resources section of your Digital Altitude members website and you click on the recorded training, you can search by keyword. And the keyword I would recommend is follow up. And you will find a bunch of videos there on how people follow up with their leads. In fact, you know what? That reminds me. I want to, Sarah, if you're listening, Sarah, I want you to do a demo maybe on a Wednesday night on the Rise show where you show how you follow up. Because, again, it's different for different people. But there's some great trainings in there on how to follow up and continue to build that trust and credibility with your new subscribers, while at the same time not stepping on the coach's toes, right? So you're not here to be a coach, okay? The coaches will do the phone calls and stuff, but to create some urgency and some appreciation for what they're about to experience as they do engage with the coaches. You know what's interesting, Cotina, is that on one hand you've got people who will opt in to the funnel, right? They'll put their name and email address and, yeah, show me what you got. And then what we got is that you get to talk to people who have actually made money with this and who are happy to coach you for free. And they won't engage. Weird. Very, very strange. It's like, okay, well, that was curious only. And I guess, well, they're not going to waste any more of your time. So that's nice. And by the way, and the coaches, they do, last I heard it was 8 attempts. Okay, so I'm not a setup coach. I'm not calling your leads. I work with members who just got their Rise program, but on the higher level steps and stuff. But the setup coaches, they are like animals. These guys and gals, they are awesome at what they do. In fact, I saw Scott Hess doing some work. He had a little instructional video he had made for some of the other coaches on some of his procedures that he uses, because the guy's just a machine. And I was watching it just out of curiosity to see what these guys are doing. And oh my goodness, the guy is just amazing. He can call so many people. Yeah, just total machine. So yeah, shout out to Scott as well. But yeah, that's the thing, is that some people won't engage. Now, on the other hand, here's the other point that I want to make. On the other hand, Katina, when I do talk to members, because that's who I work with, is members. We go through the higher level steps, and I help people with their business plans and stuff like that. I quite often like to ask people, what did you like most about DA? Like, why are you here? Why did you join this? You could have joined a million other things. Why are you doing this? And the number one answer I get by far, not even close, okay, is, well, we got real live coaches here in the system and a step-by-step instructions, and I get to talk to real people. I could never talk to real people before. I joined that other online business, and nobody would talk to me, and nobody knew anything, and I was on my own, and I got overwhelmed, and I failed, and I quit, and you get the point, right? So here, you get to talk to real live people. Yes, it's online. Okay, we're online right now. I'm talking at my computer, okay? However, this is very real. I'm not a robot,
Right.
and I really have made millions of dollars, like, for real. So yeah, who better to counsel someone who's looking to do that, that same sort of a result. And so you don't get that just anywhere, right? So that sets Digital Altitude head and shoulders above other stuff that people can do out there. But yeah, on one hand, you got people who just won't engage. That's fine. They're sorting themselves out. And on the other hand, you got people that, like, they're here just for that. Like, that is it right there. They don't even know what is this product. I don't even know. All I know is I get to, talk to people who actually are doing it, right? Not in theory, but in actual practice. So anyway, just a little bit of a tangent there, Cotina, but I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. And let's see here. I'm not seeing any other callers. Last call for anyone who wants to jump out here on the Black Diamond with me live and in person tonight. Last call. Yes, we got one more. Here we go. Jagdish, you're live on the air, sir. How are you?
Hey, John, how are you? Can you hear me?
I'm good. Yes, I can.
Okay. Thank you. I think as with every single call, this is just fantastic, and I'm so happy that you take the time to coach us every day.
Oh, my pleasure.
My question is, so there are, yes, I think we all come across people who put in their name and email address. They join the trial and they don't take any action. Is there any? Do you have any suggestions on how we can try to change that?
Yeah, what I just mentioned to Cotina, go and review the follow-up training videos in the resources section under recorded training. You can search by keyword and then put your own spin on that stuff. One of them that I would highly recommend would be by Samith Pish. Samith was one of our main call hosts. He served for about 9 months until he retired his post. And he did one on follow-up, and he actually shows exhibits of here's the emails that he sends when people get started as a trial member and such. And so you can see that, and then put your own spin on stuff, and be you, Jagdish. But you know what? Here's the thing I'll say to you in particular. You keep showing up on these calls, like you and some of the other. I mentioned right at the beginning, Glenn. For those of you who were here early before we started the actual recording, people who just keep showing up, right? A bunch of people, like Jen, who was in the chat role earlier. And so right there, you are filling your mind with ideas and not only ideas, but personalities and character traits that you are getting either through osmosis or through deliberate, conscious attention on stuff. You're becoming more powerful with every call you attend, Jagdish. So when you immerse yourself in this environment, this is the greatest accelerator to becoming the person with the earnings that you want to have, right? Is to immerse yourself in the environment of success. This is one of the things that I teach my coaching students here during their business plan, is this whole idea of immersion. And when you do that, you're going to pick up little bits from different people. Like, I suspect you might have gotten something of value from me throughout the past however long you've been here, and so I'm grateful that I got to give you some value there. And also, of course, Michael, when he's going through videos, and other people you hear on the training calls and meeting at the events. And all of this stuff, you can take bits from different people, model those different bits, but in the process, as you assimilate all that stuff, you're becoming the person who would have the results, just like all these other people have. There's that old saying, your income is the average of your 5 closest friends, right? So here, I know you, Jagdish. You're in this business. You're not just around it, right? You keep showing up. Okay, so right there.
I'm
right
all
there. Yeah, exactly. So right there, we've got someone who's qualified to speak. So take the floor, right? Write some emails, shoot some videos, put yourself out there, and you're going to find that, as I've said many times, more important than what you do is who's doing it. So I don't care about the methods. Like back to where I originally introduced this topic tonight,
Right.
What's the best way to market? I don't know. What do you want to do? Methods are secondary or tertiary, right? Definitely not primary. Definitely not. Okay, as evidenced by the fact of, I mentioned 4 or 5 people who are completely different methods, completely different, and they're all top earners.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think be you and put yourself out there. And you know what? I'll say this other thing too. I have no idea, Jagdish, who's going to do it, right? Who's going to sign up? Who's going to take the reins and run with this thing? I just have to assume that if people show up in my orbit, then they certainly have the potential to do this, right? But the I don't have a crystal ball, right? And in fact, it reminds me of again, it's a bit of a tangent, but reminds me of when I went to get a sales job. This was obviously long ago, and I had gone to take an aptitude test. The company that was considering hiring me gave me this big aptitude test questionnaire or whatever, and answer all these questions, and they were going to determine whether or not they would hire me based on the results. And the results came back, and it was about 50-50 that I would be useful to the company in the capacity of sales. And I became the #1 salesperson, #1.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so much for the aptitude test. So even with all that, they couldn't predict, who's going to be an ace, so to speak. So don't prejudge, and speak. I'll say this too: speak to your ideal prospect. Don't speak to the exception, right? So if people, let's say your brand of enthusiasm is whatever it happens to be, that's not going to appeal to everyone. But you're not trying to be all things to all people.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. So as you do that, speak to your ideal prospect. And I said prospect. I didn't say prospects. Okay. So yes, you want to have lots of people on your list. You're going to be talking to lots of people with the click of a button. However, don't talk to all you guys. Talk to the individual. Okay. Let's say, for example, you just shot a new video and you're sending it out to your list. Well, every single person who's receiving that email is an individual. So talk to them as an individual. You're just doing it simultaneously with 100,000 people or whatever, So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to tell you 2 things. They're 2 separate things. One, you make me very uncomfortable, John.
Oh, well, thank you.
And you're pushing and pushing and pushing me out of my comfort zone, and for some reason I keep coming back for more.
Hey, I am not here to help you be comfortable, sir.
Yes, I know.
Right.
And
Okay.
you make me uncomfortable every day, and I appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. What was the other thing?
The second thing I want to tell you is, when you say osmosis, I experienced that this afternoon. I met this friend of mine after a while for lunch, and he asked me, so what are you doing these days? And I, in a nutshell, told him what I'm doing with DA. And so I found myself spouting off these profundities, which I've picked up from you.
Isn't that great?
About be, do, and have, and those sort of things. And I had a very attentive audience of 1.
Very nice.
And he asked me, so what's the biggest thing that this has done for you? And I in that moment, I realized I think it's begun some sort of transformation within me. And I think that is the biggest thing that's happened to me so far. And I'm positive that the success will come, the money will come, all of that will come because that transformation has begun.
That is great. In fact, my only suggestion would be to say success is coming, not will come. If you could put that into present tense, money is coming.
Okay.
Rather than will come. Not to get into semantics too much, but the outer dialogue reveals the inner dialogue. And since you already acknowledged me for making you uncomfortable, let me do so again. And that is, watch your language, man. I mean, that's the thing. What's revealed by the way we talk is what we're saying to ourselves all day. Pretty pretty interesting. So,
Yep. Thank you.
but I honor you, man. Thank you for being here, Jagdish, and I am so excited to hear more about your results as you continue to grow and develop with this program, and to get you out here as a guest speaker here. We'll have to get that done too, as you you spout off profundities that you got from this wacky guy, John.
I can visualize that.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. Well, thanks again for being here, and I do see a bunch of people here in the chat. Well, hey, thanks everyone for the acknowledgement and for your comments. I hope you got some value out of this. We're going to go ahead and end Q&A here. Hold on. All right. So I'll tell you what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I did have a solid signal here today. I don't know how many of you were on the wake-up call this morning, but it was rough going. So anyway, I'm here. You can hear me, and everything seems to have worked. So, guys, I will see you all tomorrow on the wake-up call, or today if it's already tomorrow for you, depending on where on the planet you are. And in the meantime, have a great night. I will so look forward to seeing you again on another Black Diamond call next week as well. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you real soon. Bye for now.